Every car owner knows that feeling, the fear of a dying engine. That sudden knocking sound, that faint burning smell, or that slow, painful loss of power that creeps up until it's too late. Mechanics call it wear and tear. But what if that was only half the truth? What if engines don't die from age, but from something we've been doing wrong all along? For decades, manufacturers and service centers have convinced us that engine death is inevitable, that once the miles pile up, the end is near. But deep inside the world of high-performance engines and industrial testing, there's a quiet secret. One that's been used for years by experts to keep engines alive far longer than anyone thought possible. This isn't a gimmick. It's a method, a hidden technique that can transform the life of your car. The kind of method major oil companies don't like to talk about. Because if you knew it, you might not need them so often. Every second your engine breathes, a violent war rages beneath its hood. Thousands of metal components collide, scrape, and grind together under blistering heat and crushing pressure. To the human ear, it sounds like a steady hum. But inside, it's chaos. Even the purest, most expensive motor oil can't shield the engine forever. Deep inside the crankcase, microscopic shards of metal tear loose, tiny particles invisible to the naked eye. They swirl through the oil like silent assassins, carving scratches into pistons, scarring bearings, and chewing away at seals. Each rotation of the crankshaft leaves behind damage too small to see, but too real to ignore. Over months, then years, those microscopic wounds grow into deep scars. The engine loses compression. Oil starts to vanish between changes. Power fades. What once roared begins to whisper. But then, something curious emerged from the world of industrial testing. Engineers studying long-term engine wear found anomalies. Engines that should have failed but didn't. Machines abused under brutal heat, sand, and stress somehow outlived perfectly maintained engines. It didn't make sense. Until they discovered a clue, buried deep in forgotten aviation records. A secret flush procedure, hidden in decades-old manuals, locked away from public eyes. The story begins in the skies. During the 1970s, aircraft engines were facing catastrophic failures due to carbon buildup and sludge. The aviation industry couldn't afford uncertainty. An engine failure mid-air meant disaster. So, a team of engineers devised a precise, almost ritualistic process to reverse wear from within. It wasn't some magical chemical or marketing trick. It was a formula, a carefully timed sequence of cleansing, purging, and relubricating, engineered to bring the heart of the machine back to its pure state. The process restored the internal flow of oil, dissolved hidden deposits, and left behind an immaculate surface. It didn't fix engines, it renewed them. But as the formula proved too effective, it was quietly sealed away. After all, if engines lasted decades longer, who would profit? The aviation and heavy machinery industries decided it was better left forgotten. Still, whispers escaped. A few fragments of the method slipped into underground tuning garages and racing circles. Those who tested it couldn't believe what they saw. Engines ran quieter. Oil remained golden long after the change. Compression bounced back. Fuel economy rose like the engine was young again. It was as if the machine had been given a second birth. Years later, independent mechanics stumbled across this impossible secret while experimenting with aircraft cleaning solvents on old car engines. They weren't scientists, just seasoned technicians obsessed with bringing dead machines back to life. One legendary story made its way through underground car forums. A Detroit mechanic with a failing V8 that had clocked over 200,000 miles. Compression was gone, oil consumption was off the charts, and the car was ready for the scrapyard. Then came the experiment. Using fragments of that old aviation flush method, the mechanic ran a series of timed cycles, draining and conditioning the engine. When the key turned, the impossible happened. The engine idled smooth, quiet, almost factory new. He called it resurrection. Others called it fake. Oil corporations dismissed the idea. Dealerships called it dangerous. But behind closed doors, racing teams and high-end tuners quietly adopted variations of the same method. No one admitted it publicly, but the results couldn't be denied. Their engines ran like ghosts of their former selves, lighter, faster, unstoppable. The method itself revolves around one sacred rule: purge the contamination cycle. Changing oil only replaces the liquid. It doesn't remove what's hiding within. Carbon residue, metallic sludge, and microparticles become embedded deep inside the engine's arteries, the oil passages, rings, and seals. Like cholesterol clogging a human heart, they suffocate the system from within. The process starts with a pre-flush, a balanced solvent engineered to dissolve deep sludge and metallic residue without harming gaskets or seals. The engine is left idling, allowing the formula to circulate and pull out every trace of hidden grime. Then, the entire system is drained, completely, until not a drop remains. Next comes the conditioning phase. A light, friction-reducing lubricant, thinner than standard oil, coats every internal surface. It restores the microscopic metal texture, allowing pistons and bearings to glide with almost no resistance. This phase isn't about cleaning, it's about healing. When the final oil fill is added, the difference is unmistakable. Engines regain lost compression, power surges back, throttle response sharpens, and the oil, once black within days, now stays clear and pure for months. Mechanics who've seen it firsthand describe it in one word: unnatural. The sound changes. The engine feels alive again, as though it remembers how it used to breathe. But if this method works so well, why don't you see it advertised? Because it breaks the cycle of profit. The automotive world thrives on planned obsolescence. Parts designed to fail, engines expected to die young. If every car lasted 400,000 miles without burning oil, billions would vanish from the balance sheets of oil corporations, parts suppliers, and dealerships. That's why this knowledge was buried. Official manuals ignore it. Public oil tests omit it. Even patents describing similar chemistry are disguised under different names. There's too much money in failure, too much power in ignorance. Yet, among veteran mechanics, the whispers persist. Some record proof quietly on small YouTube channels. Others share it in encrypted car forums. They're not selling miracle products. They're sharing procedures. And every time someone tries it, the story repeats itself. Engines once thought dead come back to life. Mileage improves, noise fades, and a machine's heartbeat grows strong again. Now, the secret is resurfacing. Across garages, workshops, and online communities, the truth is spreading faster than ever. The lost aviation method, once hidden from the public, is becoming a quiet revolution among those who refuse to accept mechanical decay as destiny. Old cars once forgotten in backyards roar to life. Trucks once thought finished now run like they just left the factory. People who perform the process can't stop talking about it, not because it's magic, but because it works. They're the new generation of engine doctors, not chasing profit, but preservation. The age of disposable machines is ending. And for those who know the method, the secret flush, the cleansing sequence, the rebirth of metal, engines are no longer meant to die. They're meant to be reborn. Every car tells a story of miles driven, places visited, and moments lived. But for too long, we've accepted the lie that an engine's death is inevitable. The truth? Engines don't die because of age. They die because we never learned how to heal them. And now, that secret method, once buried in classified manuals and whispered among mechanics, is finally resurfacing. A reminder that longevity isn't luck, it's knowledge. So the next time you start your engine, remember this. There's a way to bring it back to life. A method they never wanted you to know. A secret that could make your engine run forever.